Welcome back, guys. We are back for another week of What's Not Sports. We got our recap this week of the weekend's AFL, NRLW, and NRL. Other things that happened on the weekend, we'll touch on that. I'm your host, Will O'Connor. I'm always excited to be here. I just love sport, as you know, the whole point of it. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And let's just jump straight into it, shall we? So, to kick us off, in the world of sporting news, Australia has taken out the Test series against the West Indies after winning two Test matches already. So, great stuff from the Aussies. Our bowlers were absolutely incredible. We won the We won the Test that finished the other day. We were by 134 runs. So, really impressive stuff for them. And that'll be a good bounce back after losing to South Africa in the world title. In other sports, in rugby union, the Wallabies have gotten a win in international footy after beating Fiji. So that's good stuff for the Wallabies. They want to be in good form with an up and coming game against the British Irish Lions coming up in 2 weeks. So good to see him. It was 21-18 to the Wallabies, so very close score. So I think we might need a bit more. Bit we probably need to do a bit more if we're looking at beating that British Irish Lions team. So, but I think that will be a good confidence booster, and yeah, it will be a heated match then. In other news, in another sport, we're going over to swimming a little bit. Cam McAvoy, the Olympic champion in the 50-meter freestyle, who has almost revolutionized his training as a sprinter, implemented a lot of heavy, more load, as in weights and calisthenics, rather than swimming 30 Ks a week as a short distance swimmer. He only now swims three. He is a mad and massive advocate for the 25-meter event. So he, over the weekend, did a professionally timed 25-meter swim, and he did it in a time of 9.36 seconds. So that is absolutely insane. He really wants to bring the 25-meter event to the foreground of, well, world aquatics, all those things. So it'll be very exciting to see if more comes out from that. And he posted a photo the other day of the 25-meter mark in the 50 at the Olympics, and it was almost everyone was like in a straight line. Like, it was insane. And so I think, yeah, super highly contested. It's only 25 meters, so everything's almost got to be perfect, right on cue. So really exciting if that does come to more of a foreground, and it's really cool stuff that he is doing. So shout out to Cam McAvoy. Now let's kick off to our AFL recap. Not a bad round of tipping, not a perfect, but we did pretty well. Kick it off. We had North Melbourne versus the Bulldogs, Carlton versus Collingwood, West Coast versus GWS, Essendon versus Suns, Geelong versus Richmond, Brizzy versus Port, St Kilda versus the Hawks, Sydney versus Freo, and Adelaide versus Melbourne. Now the North Melbourne West game, West Bulldogs got the win there, so that's a tick one from me. Carlton versus Collingwood, I had Collingwood, got the dub there. West Coast versus GWS, I had GWS tip, they got the win for me. The Suns in the next game got a win over Essendon, so for all you Essendon supporters, I think that's now 5 losses in a row, so not looking too good for you guys. Geelong versus Richmond, I had Geelong tip. They got the win, so happy with that. I tipped Brizzy against Port. They got the dub there. St Kilda versus Hawks. I always stay true to my Hawks, and they showed some good form in that game. Got the win there. Now, the last two I fell off the wheel a little bit. I thought Freo would get the win there on a 6-game hot streak. Not quite. They didn't get there. Sydney got the win over there. Very close game there. And then Adelaide versus Melbourne. Adelaide, I believe, they had about 30 points on Melbourne, so didn't get that tip either. 7 out of 9, not bad at all. So yeah, can't complain. We'll move on to NRLW. So had our first week of NRLW. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. More footy just means more games of rugby to watch on the TV, which I just love. It's pretty awesome stuff. Those girls really came out hard this week. They always got something. They always want to prove a point that they are such, I guess, good athletes, and they are, and they showed us on the weekend. I believe the biggest upset probably was the Eels getting the dub over the Sharks. That's what I would say. But in that, we'll run through my tips. So we had Sharks versus Eels, Bulldogs versus Knights, the Broncos versus Tigers, Raiders versus Dragons, Cowboys versus Titans, and the Roosters versus the Wars. So the Wars and Bulldogs are new into the comp this season. So it would always be a hard game for those two. So we'll go through who won. The Sharks versus Eels. Eels won. I had them tipped. The Doggies versus Knights. I tipped the Knights because, as I just said, it is the Doggies' first time in the comp with the NRLW. So that is actually huge to win your first ever game in the NRLW as a new team. That is pretty awesome stuff. Obviously, the Broncos then beat the Tigers out. The Broncos just always being such a great team, so strong in the NRLW. They have probably been the biggest. I've got the most premiership wins. They're always such a good team and a fighting force, just like I mentioned in the last pod. The Raiders versus Dragons. My Raiders did not get the win, unfortunately. It was a close game to start off with, but then the Dragons really just ran away with it at the end. Cowboys versus Titans. I had the Titans tipped, and the Cowboys got the win. Oh well, that was always going to be a tough one for the Titans to win. Not a bad game of footy at all. And then the Roosters versus Wars. I did have the Wars tipped. I thought the new team could have a bit of new team luck, but no. The Roosters, another dominant team that's probably, well, that's been around just as long as the Broncos, really showed that they are still one of the best teams, and that the new team on the block will have to wait their chance. So wasn't too lucky there. Only got 2 out of 6 this week. Not a great start to the NRLW tipping by What's Not Sport, but that's all right. We'll have much more of a chance to go on to that next week, have another crack, and hopefully get a lot more tips right than that. Now, let's go into the men's. Let's have our weekly breakdown of each game. We'll go through my tips for each game. So our first game was the Bulldogs versus the Broncos. I had the Broncos to win. At halftime, I was thinking, what the hell have I done? It's 18-0. The Doggies are up. What is going on? The Dogs had really seemed to be, well, the Dogs just seemed like they were unstoppable that game. But you know what? With about 10 players out, the Broncos really stepped up, and they ended up getting the win 22-18. An epic comeback. Quite possibly the game of the week. Billy Walters, it was his 100th game. He was a real game changer in that game. Just came out firing, and yeah, I would credit him a lot in that win over the Bulldogs, which is massive in the terms of the Dogs now drop to third. There's now more of a buffer between first and second. Now it's not on points difference. It helps the Broncos out a lot, considering that the Wars have quite a few out injured. They now sit in that 5th position quite comfortably, I would say. and they are going to be hunting a top 4 spot. Now, the next game, Raiders vs Dragons, up the milk. We keep our hot streak alive. It is now 8 in a row for the Raiders. I'm just going to fact check. No, 7, I think. Give me a second. I'll fact check that. Bear with me. Bear with me. Apologies. Yeah, here we go. They have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row. They haven't lost since round 10. We just concluded round 18. We've had a bye. It was 28-24. Look, we did it the hard way. We did exactly what we did against Newcastle. Had a fantastic first half, I should say. Had a bit of a lead, and then we just let the Dragons catch up, and then we scored a try late in the game to seal our victory. I'm not a fan of that, is how we're playing, just because I would much rather win comfortably. But you know what? 2 points is 2 points, and a huge shout out to Kyo Weeks. Honestly, he's becoming one of the best fullbacks in the game right now. His speed, I think, is unmatched in that fullback position role. He has gained so much confidence since last season. He's such more a mature athlete. He's bulked up quite a bit more, so he's put a lot more muscle mass on, and he really is a force to be reckoned with. So he will be helping lead those Raiders to a lot more victories to come. So as I mentioned earlier, the Raiders are now still in first place on the ladder. It now goes from a points difference of leading to now 2 points. So they have not just the points difference as a buffer, they've now got 2 points as a buffer. The Storm have now moved into second place after their win on the Cowboys, which is the next game. The Cowboys versus Storm. My next pick was the Storm. It was quite a close game. Both teams had a lot of people out for injuries and for Origin, so really good stuff from, I thought, the Cowboys to really be in striking distance. It's Craig Bellamy's worst nightmare, having a team in striking distance from his amazing Storm. So I honestly think that is great stuff from the Cowboys. It's a huge game from Nick Meaney for getting the call back up with a few injuries. He scored a double, which was pretty cool, and he was, real good for the Storm. But yeah, got the win. Craig Bellamy would have liked them to win by 40. Probably still wouldn't have been happy. The Cowboys, I know it's another loss for you guys, but I'm sure they would be taking a lot more confidence out of that, saying we nearly beat the Storm, even though they weren't at full force. That's the same for North Queensland. They also weren't at full force, so there's a lot of positives to take out of that game. Now, here we go. The last two games, got my tips wrong. Roosters versus West Tigers. I had the Roosters just because they are what I would consider a team that will be in that top 4. They are, sorry, not top 4. They're in top 8. I would be saying that they would be at least a top 6 team in my opinion, like usually. But now after losing to the West Tigers, they drop out of the top 8 again after being in there last week, being in 6 last week, and now they've dropped out of the top 8. I keep going on about it. It is such a tight comp. Literally 1 week you're in 6, and you think that'd be pretty comfortable with 2 other teams under you in the top 8. Nope. One bad game and one loss, not even a bad game. One loss and you are out of the top 8. Manly have snuck back in. Penrith enjoying that bye, I would say, getting another 2 points for resting, which is really good for them. But what I'm saying is really tight comp. the West Tigers, that's absolutely insane. Considering that they don't have their star player, Luai, in my opinion, it's just it's always great to see the Roosters lose. And I think everyone should watch out for the Tigers. They're sitting in 14th at the moment, yes. But they're on 16 points and 7th to 10th on 20 points. So you never know. Roosters could have a couple bad games. Manly could have a couple bad games. The Tigers could just be on after Origin, getting Luai back. It'd be really interesting to see. And to finish off the week, we had Manly versus South Sydney Rabbitohs. Manly dominated that game. Not a lot to say from it. Garrick scored a double. Tommy Turbo scored a double. It's not bad from him at all. And from what I know, it's their second time. Well, it's their first time with back-to-back wins since round 4, which is uh which is really big for them. Like, to be a team that hasn't had a win in, well, back-to-back wins since round 4. That was 14 rounds ago. A lot has changed since then, and it shows a lack of consistency there. So yeah, I think we might see Manly start to really bring on that back half of the season now, really ramp up. But yeah, great stuff from him. It was a bit of a bulldozer game. And yeah, so not too bad for the tipping in the NRL. Shocking in the NRLW, but yeah, overall not a great weekend for the NRL and NRLW tipping by myself. Hopefully next week will be better. I reckon it will be. But yeah, now let's get into some NRL news. After the first game back, well, after his first game back, Brandon Smith, the Cheese, his first game, made a club debut for South Sydney. First game back after his ACL, he now suffers a new knee injury. So, a serious knee injury. It's not looking great for the guy. Hopefully, it isn't as serious as what it's thought to be, because to come back from an ACL injury and then to immediately then suffer another injury, it would suck. But in some more positive light, the Fanua brothers from the West Tigers have made NRL history. That's pretty cool. All three of them scored a try in their game against the Roosters for the same team, the West Tigers, obviously. So that's shout out to that. Like, pretty cool thing to be able to have, not only play with your three siblings, but then to also all score a try and make NRL history. That's pretty incredible stuff. Now, to all you Raiders haters, you might not even be a Raiders hater, but the Milk were heavily picked as the wooden spooners. They haven't got the spoon since, I believe, 82. Let's fact check that. When was the last time the Raiders had the wooden spoon? 1982. And that was in their debut year. So we all knew the Raiders came out, well, started playing as a team in 82. So we've won more grand finals than we've had wooden spoons, and I think that's acceptable to have your wooden spoon in your first season. 100%. Not only are we now leading the competition, we are number one, but not only that. Mathematically, Canberra Raiders cannot get the wooden spoon. So if the Titans win every single game and the Raiders lose every single game, we will end up 16th, not 17th. Up the milk. So yeah, pretty cool stats. If you're a Raiders fan like myself, all the haters, get out of here. We're winning the premiership. Now, let's talk some more positive news. Try July is here. It is amongst us. We had a few cool celebrations this week. Now I'm going to go through 3 of my honorable mentions. Next week I will properly rate. So this is no particular order, but next week I will do my top 3, maybe an honorable mention or 2. But I've just picked 3 this week that I thought were really good. Well, 3 players, I should say, or we'll start off. You'll know what I mean when I say it. So Nick Meaney, he had 2 tries, so I've picked him, not his sellies. He had a really cool one, like some funny ones, but the one that was the funniest was, if you've seen the video of the Indonesia boy, well, boat boy, he stands on the front of the rowboat and he basically just dances. And he's like, boom, 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 boom. And so Nick Meaney did that. A lot of players and athletes in different sports has been doing that as a celebration, whether it's a goal or a try. So to do that was pretty cool, especially a lot of the youth watchers would have been going, "Oh yeah, that's funny," and yeah, everyone says he now has more aura. One of my all-time try July celebrations comes from the NRLW after this weekend. It was the Raiders girls after they scored. If you watched it, it's pretty funny. I'm just gonna say all they did was they were milking the cow. If you watched it, it's yeah. But it was pretty funny, pretty cool in my opinion. And as a Raiders fan, it was pretty nice. It was pretty funny to watch. And then I thought this was actually the funniest of all week. DCE went over for a try, and not only did that, he got a try in style. He immediately gets up and runs over to the little try line sideline post, takes the foam off it, and starts using it as a walking stick. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was good. DCE playing on the fact that he is the oldest man or the oldest athlete in the comp. So yeah, it was good. So I love Try July. It is a great thing. Every try celebration raises $5,000 in donations from Sportsbet. So I honestly think no matter how far you are up or how far you are down in a match, you should always be doing a try celebration in Try July, just because that is $5,000 of donations going to a good cause. So don't let the sorrows of your team stop you from celebrating a try and raising $5,000. So yeah. Now I mentioned last week I will be doing a little segment up and coming. I'm still working on how I will do it. Most likely, I'm going to drop an Origin special episode either Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So that's one more, and then I'll obviously have my Thursday morning pod drop. In that Thursday morning pod dropping, I would like to have your feedback and I guess implications. I don't know. I want your input. I will ask on my social media this week, guys, what news or what is wrong with your sport or any sport? I- I'll I'll ask again with the what I have outlined. So I just want to know your thoughts on sport, basically. Any sport could be on any player, from athletes to rules, how the sport can improve, expand, what a club needs to do, what I guess the sport needs to do. Because I've got opinions on multiple different sports, on what they need to do, how they can improve it, what would be good for the audience. For example, Cam McAvoy, real big pusher for the 50-meter and 25-meter events to be in the Olympics. The 50-meter sprints are now in the Olympics 2028, but he's really trying to push that 25-meter sprint across events with World Aquatics. So that's just an example. We'll talk, and then I'll talk about it. So I'll share what you have to think, and But yeah, that's basically it. I'll put that out on the socials. It can either be a comment or a DM or whatever. But yeah, that's my sport wrap up of the weekend recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. What's not sport and all as always. That's not what's not sport. Cheers, guys. I'll see you a couple times this week on the next episode. Peace out.